Classic, the freshest of classics, is now finally here, and it's starting on November 21st, with progression servers progressing from 1 to 60 in Phase 1, all the way to Nax at the very end, flowing into TBC. But, and this is a rather big but if I'm being honest with everybody, GDKPs are banned. The loving, darling child of the era raiding scene is banished. Forbidden. Nada. You cannot do GDKPs. So, let's actually break that down. What does that mean for Classic? Because, as a lot of people know, GDKP incentivizes alt raiding. It incentivizes you to go make an alt and raid on it once you're done raiding on your main. So your main guild is, I don't know, Loot Council, DKP, some random shit like that. And then on your 17 alt, it's all GDKPs, because cash money is more important than making friends. But then, on the flip side, it also incentivizes the dreaded, the absolutely hated and abhorred
gold buying.
And the gold buying scene it's fucking atrocious, let's be honest here, shall we? Everyone says they don't buy gold, yet somehow everyone in a GDKP has $1.5 million gold to spend and just, bid gold cap from several characters on an item. It's some obscene level shit right there, no? But let's discuss how banning GDKPs looked like on Season of Discovery, so we can have a baseline benchmark to compare it against for how it'll end up looking like on Classic. Now, in Season of Discovery, when they banned the GDKPs, essentially alt rating dropped drastically. It went from being everyone had 5, 6, 7 alts down to 2 or 3 at most. Now, to be fair, it was also Phase 1 only, and by the time Phase 2 rolled around, you had to get to level 40 instead of 25. A lot of less people were leveling all the alts to 40 as well. So it wasn't a solid benchmark to see how many alts it really killed. But it did make a lot of people stop playing Season of Discovery, because some people's favorite type of raiding and raid loot system is just GDKP. It's a finality. That's all they really want and care about. Now, based on what the devs have said and what people have shown online, it did actually lower how much gold buying took place in Season of Discovery. The big question though is, did it actually make enough of an impact? Did it stop enough people from buying gold? Because one of the major incentives for GDKPs and for gold buying is to spend that gold in a way that is profitable and beneficial to your character in game. Because essentially what ended up happening was less people were buying gold across the board, but more individuals were buying more gold across the board. So net gold bought was the same. It was just concentrated on a certain select amount of individuals. So now let's talk about Classic or Classic Fresh as it's called. Actually, I'm not sure what it's meant to be called because it's called the 20th anniversary Classic. So what is the community terminology going to end up being? Is this going to be called Classic Fresh or Classic? I mean, we'll find out later on anyways. The Classic community is different than the SOD community. For them, I'm being very honest, I think this is a net negative bad decision on Blizzard's part to ban GDKPs. Because the player base has been conditioned from a long time of being an era to run GDKPs. And yes, I know people are saying it's a fresh movement, a lot of fresh players are going to come, but the sweaty, dedicated players end up setting the meta of what the world ends up looking like and playing like. And a lot of these people love and push for GDKPs. Not having that changes the dynamic. They'll find another way to do things, or they just won't play. And there's also the facet that you have 1 to 60 and a whole month of that before you even have Molten Core opening, so it gives people time to farm, do things, and it separates people so you don't get to just sweatily dive right into MC, so it brings a more fair leveling and playing field. But I still do believe it was a bad decision on Blizzard's part to ban GDKPs for Fresh. I understand why they did, because they saw the metrics on their side and it proved to them that banning GDKPs was a net positive. But the community perception is clearly vastly different. I know at least a dozen people who play Era and Classic private servers who are not coming to play Classic because GDKPs are where most of the fun is for them, because they love leveling alt and always having a good raid they can jump into and profit to some degree. It also does go into the fact that right after Classic, we have Classic TBC, and we know that's coming, and that'll likely lead to Classic Wrath of the Lich King, and all of these are ginormous GDKP scenes. So will those experiences be better or worse with no GDKPs. I saw some Ulduar and ICC GDKPs. It's obscene how much gold is being thrown around. Who wants the Shadowmourne fragment? I'll bid 10 billion gold, thank you very much. I'll beat you with that, I'll bet 11 billion. Where the fuck do you guys have this much gold? But then again, it does bring into the next question, is this a complete and total ban of GDKPs going forward for the Classic ecosystem? Mob Classic will likely have GDKPs because Cataclysm Classic does. So that pipeline, GDKPs will likely stay the same. But then you come into fresh experiences. And going forward, we will likely never see GDKPs again. Again, I need to clarify, that is not a confirmation. But it's banned in ZOD, it's banned in Classic, and TBC Classic is likely going to follow the rules of Classic, that means it'll be banned there as well. And if they do a wrath afterwards, that will also have GDKPs banned. But they will likely monitor player numbers. They will go through the whole thing and see with a fine-toothed lens how much does this negatively impact player numbers, and then they may or may not revoke the decision on GDKPs based off how many ults and stuff are raiding in Phase 2 when MC and Onyxia come out. Because if the player numbers are low enough and terrible enough, they're literally going to come back and change it, go like GDKPs are allowed again, and then that'll boost the alt scene and leveling scene, and then when Ironforge Pro's numbers look good, more people end up coming. Because people are kind of like pack animals. Oh, my game is dead. Only 80,000 people, I'm not playing. So if they see 50,000 raiders in MC, and then they reverse the GDKP ban, then you have 150,000 people because all the era guys are doing alts on several characters and all that stuff. Then a new player is likely to be like 150,000 players. That's a very active scene. I'm going to jump in and play. But we will see what the metrics look like. We will see what the devs see on the back end, and if the information is going to be positive or negative, because GDKPs are a very controversial subject, and it has a lot of negative and positive emotions around it. And as of right now, both sides are very, well, one is very happy and one is incredibly upset. And both are essentially yelling at each other going, it's your fault, this is what's happening. And we're just gonna have to wait and see what the total impact ends up being. So to summarize, I think it is a net positive that GDKPs are banned for Classic. I think it benefits the player base a lot more to have it removed from the game. But we will see what the devs and the player base themselves think. Because my opinion is irrelevant in this matter, because what matters is what the player base themselves think as a whole. So thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. If you hated it, hey, understandable. Dislike and subscribe so you can dislike all my other upcoming videos. Thank you all. Ebenhard out. Peace.